Hi everyone, good morning. Alright, video's uploaded. It's like an hour later. It's time for me to read more Calling on Dragons. I'm going to try to do all the next weeks in one sitting, because I can do that. That's so cool. Books. Chapter 10 of Calling on Dragons. This is for Max as well. Thank you, Max. In which Telemaine works very hard. Very, very hard. Telemaine had to stop and rest for a while after the second transportation spell, and after the third he looked so pale that Morwen said, "We don't have to go on immediately, you know. We've got at least one more day and probably two before the sword reaches the critical point. It is getting late." Telemaine puffed as if he had been running hard for a long time. "Still, I'm quite capable of casting another spell or two." Simmering glanced at the tall pines that surrounded them and dug an experimental toe into the spongy accumulation of needles underfoot. "If you're sure it won't be too much, we're going to have to spend the night somewhere, and this looks like as good a place as any," Morwen broke in quickly. "Better than some." "Boring," Trouble said. "It looks boring. Jasmine would love it. Let's try for somewhere more interesting." Kazul coiled her tail loosely around the base of one of the trees and stretched herself out on the ground. "It's comfortable and there is plenty of room." "I thought you were in a hurry," Telemaine said irritably. Do you want to find Mendenbur's sword or not?" "If you wear yourself out doing transports, you won't be able to do the locating spell," Morwen said, as Simmering opened her mouth to speak. "I'm not worn out." Simmering closed her mouth and gave Telemaine a long, thoughtful look. "Good," thought Morwen. "Now if I can just get Telemaine to agree to stop transporting before he falls over. If we go on, where will we land next?" "I'm not sure," Telemaine admitted. "Normally I transfer from here straight to the edge of the Great Southern Desert, but the interval is incompatible with the number of people and the mass I'm transporting on this occasion. Given the ratios, I would approximate a landing site at 3/5 of the normal distance." "Do you know what we'd find there?" Morwen asked, ignoring Simmering's puzzled expression. "No." "Then we're better off here," Morwen said, in a tone intended to discourage further discussion. "It looks comfortable and quiet, and the next stop might not be either." She stepped closer to Telemaine and murmured, "And we should be careful not to let Simmering get too tired." "Oh," Telemaine sighed in relief. "Of course. Very well, we'll camp here and go on in the morning." Simmering glanced at Morwen suspiciously, but all she said was, "That's settled then. Why don't you rest for a few minutes while we set things up?" Telemaine was so relieved. Oh, he's like, "We can blame it on Simmering." "No, we're catering to you." Killer's nose twitched. "Does that mean we'll get dinner soon? Because I'm hungry." "Again? All those layers of spells must be affecting your metabolism," Morwen said. "Or didn't Simmering's cook feed you properly before you left the castle?" "Oh, he had plenty to eat," Scorn said. "He was gorging himself when we left, and he had nearly half an hour after Telemaine brought him and the others to the house. You should have seen him, Morwen. He's worse than fiddlesticks with a plate of fish." "It's not my fault," Killer said in a plaintive tone. "I can't help being hungry. I just am." "Well, we can't get anything for you to eat until after we've set up camp," Morwen said. "Telemaine, is there a source of water around anywhere?" Telemaine directed her to a small pool a short distance away. As Morwen set off, Simmering fell into step beside her. At once, they were too far off from the others for anyone to hear. Simmering said, "I'm sorry I wasn't more help with Telemaine, Morwen. I was so worried about Mendenbar's sword that I didn't see how tired he was until he snapped at you. How did you convince him to stay here?" "I told him you needed to rest. You told him I needed—" "Morwen, I'm not sick. I'm going to have a baby, that's all. I feel fine." Simmering hesitated. "Well, mostly. Sometimes in the morning my stomach gets a little queasy, but that's not the point. No, the point is that Telemaine needs rest." Morwen pushed aside a low-hanging branch and looked at Simmering. "Do you really want an overtired magician transporting you? I let someone do that. Once." "What happened?" "I ended up 40 leagues west of where I wanted to be, and I had an upset stomach for a week afterward. No one had a spare broomstick, so I had to fly home on a borrowed rake." "What? Oh my God. All 40 leagues in the rain. It's the only time in my life I've been airsick." "Airsick?" Simmering shuddered. "I can see why you'd want to keep Telemaine from overextending himself. I just wish you'd thought of some other way to do it." Pushing through a sweep of long, prickly pine branches, they found the pool Telemaine had described. Morwen put the collapsible bucket out of her sleeve and filled it, and then started back to the others. Just before they reached the camp, Simmering paused. "Morwen, how tired is Telemaine?" "He could probably do one more transport without any problems," Morwen admitted. "Two more are definitely out of the question. And if we land in the middle of a battle or on top of a troll's hill—" "I see." Morwen nodded. "I prefer not to take chances. But a smaller spell wouldn't be a problem for him, would it?" "What do you mean? A smaller one? What did you have in mind?" Simmering blushed slightly. "Well, I did promise I'd call Mendenbar whenever I could, and if I'd had room for a full-size magic mirror in my pack, and even if I'd had room for a full-size magic mirror in my pack, I wouldn't have brought one, because they're too breakable. I was hoping Telemaine—" "I understand." Mormon thought for a minute. The hardest part of Telemain's magic mirror spell is making it permanent. He shouldn't have any difficulty with a temporary speaking spell, especially if he has a chance to rest first. Ask him about it after dinner. I will, Serene said with a smile. Oh, it's so great. Serene's cook had provided plenty of food for the people and cats, so dinner for them was fairly straightforward. After some initial grumbling, Killer nibbled at low-hanging pine branches and even admitted that they didn't taste too bad once he got used to them. Since there was not enough of anything to make a dragon-sized meal, Kazul left to forage for herself. As soon as she finished eating, Simrine broached the subject of the speaking spell with Telemain. The magician frowned and patted his pockets. I believe I have the necessary materials, he said. All I need is an object. Waving at her pack, the various cups and containers Mormon had produced from her sleeves, and the half-empty water bucket, Simrine said, Aren't there plenty of those things around? No, I mean an object for enchantment. Something with correct reflective properties. To be compatible with the existing enchantment on the castle mirror, a provisional communication spell, oh my god, Simrine, must employ the same similarities and reversals of congruence as the original. Therefore, you need a mirror, right? Simrine guessed. No, Mormon said he needs something like a mirror. Maybe something you can see a reflection in. Maybe if we polish the dishes, Simrine said, eyeing the dented metal dubiously. The castle cook had sent along 4 of the oldest tin plates Mormon had ever seen. They were suitable for camping, but not, Mormon thought, for spell-making. What about this? Scorn said, circling the water bucket. Yes, that might do. Hastily, Mormon picked up the bucket, barely in time to keep trouble from setting his paws on the rim to peer in and collapsing it. What do you think, Telemain? Between the metallic surfaces and the water, the reflective properties appear to be adequate, Telemain said after a moment's inspection. As long as there is no previous enchantment, it should do. Does carrying it in my sleeve count? Since the bucket is no longer inside the spell's sphere of influence, it should have no impact on the application of a transitory enchantment. Why do you talk like this? What does he mean? Killer said. It doesn't count as long as the bucket isn't in my sleeve when he tries to enchant it, Mormon said. How long will the spell last, Telemain? About a quarter of an hour. Telemain set the bucket in front of him and began removing things from his pockets. It should return to its base state by dawn tomorrow. Setting up the speaking spell did not take long. Mormon watched Telemain closely as he crouched over the bucket, for he still seemed unusually tired, but he had no difficulty in casting the enchantment. There, he said finally, sitting back on his heels. You can go ahead now, Simrine, just don't move the bucket. All right then, Simrine said, though she looked as if she felt a little silly. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I would like to make a call. The water in the bucket turned white. Tell it who to find, Mormon said softly. I wish to speak to Mendenbar, the king of the enchanted forest. With a swish and gurgling noise, the milky color cleared. Who's there? Snarled the wooden gargoyle. Nobody's home and they can't be bothered so... Oh, hello, your majesty. Hello, is Mendenbar at home? Said Simrine. Sure. Hey, king. He calls for Mendenbar. Hey, king. There's somebody on the mirror you should talk to, the gargoyle shouted. Tell him who it is, Simrine commanded. Ugh, you spoil all my fun, grumbled the gargoyle, but it yelled, It's Queen Simrine. An instant later, the picture in the water shifted rapidly, then steadied to show King Mendenbar. Simrine, is everything all right? Everything's fine, Simrine said. We're halfway to the Great Southern Desert. About 3/5 of the way, actually, said Telemain, and we decided to stop for the night. How are things at home? Caught a couple of wizards prowling around the forest right after you left, Mendenbar said. You could tell Telemain that his wizard melting spell works just fine. Kazul will be disappointed, Simrine said. We haven't seen any traces of wizards, and I think she's been hoping for a good fight. We'll tell her to be careful if you do run across them, Mendenbar said. One of the ones I melted was carrying dragon's bane. Ugh. Oh dear, maybe I should send Kazul home. You can try. They both paused. In the brief silence, Mormon caught Telemain's eye and nodded toward the far side of the clearing. Oh no. Telemain looked puzzled, then suddenly his expression changed and he rose hastily and joined her. What? Oh, I see. We might as well give them a few moments' privacy, said Marwyn, when they were out of earshot. Unless you have to stay nearby to maintain the mirror spell? No, the spell is self-maintaining once it's established, Telemain said. If someone wants to make another call, I'll have to reset everything. But she and Mendenbar can talk as long as they like without worrying about any sudden termination. Trouble appeared against the trunk of a pine and leaned against it, scratching his back against the bark. Well, I hope they don't go on much longer. You wouldn't believe how mushy they're getting. I don't want to hear about it, Mormon said. What's that? Telemain asked. Is something wrong? Only a cat's usual refusal to let morals interfere with satisfying his curiosity, Mormon said. Don't ask, it only encourages him. Fortunately, Simrine and Mendenbar did not chat for very much longer. Later, when Simrine reported the conversation to Kazul, the dragon refused to consider leaving. I want some wizards, and one way or another I am going to get them, Kazul said. If I don't go on to the central office of the Society of Wizards, I'll go back to the Enchanted Forest and hunt up or hunt up a few of them there, dragon's bane or no dragon's bane. I don't think that's necessary, Simran said quickly. Midnabar seems to have everything under control. For now, said Scorn. Not for the first time, Morwen was glad that Simran and Telemaine, at least, could not understand what her cats were saying. Lord, this book is too much. It's too much.